Hello, everybody, and welcome to TV Shows Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we revisit old shows. And this is sort of the spiritual successor to Quantum Leap Revisited. For those who are familiar with that show that we used to do in this time slot, today we're going to be talking about the second pilot episode of Star Trek, which is Where No Man Has Gone Before. And with us are our usual panelists plus a special guest. So we have Ro, who went through great lengths to be here. And we
Yes.
really appreciate that. He is a broadcast news veteran. He's the host of the Scarif podcast, co-founder of the Red 5 Network. How's it going, Ro?
Going fantastic. I could not miss this one.
Well, we're happy that you're here. Script is a veteran screenwriter, has his own Patreon, has his own show called Scripts on Saturdays. How's it going, Script?
I am exhausted, but otherwise I'm happy to be here, especially for this type of episode.
And we have Sean, who's muted for some reason, and he has been able to make it here today. How's it going, Sean?
Good. I just didn't want to breathe too hard or make a weird noise, so I mute myself.
Hey, when that happens.
All right, no problem. And then, of course, we have anti-derivative Jill, who is something of an expert when it comes to Star Trek. I've been on her streams a number of times in the past when she watched episodes and did stuff, movies, Star Trek related. So I just thought it would be really great if she could join us here today. How's it going, Jill?
It's going great. You were there for our first contact stream. I know that for sure, and a few other times. So
yes,
thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely, I was there for a few of them. There was one with there were a few episodes, I think, of like the original series or something. There was the first contact for sure. So yeah, there were a number of times, and I always like that. So and I'm always impressed, even when I'm not there and I see your expertise on this. I'm always impressed. So it was good that you could join us today.
I'm always ready to talk about Star Trek.
Well, that's what I was hoping for when I invited you. And Matthew McGee and his wife Chrissy are saying the panel's fire, as the young kids say. Yes, it is. And Nick he's late at work. Maybe we'll see him pop up in the chat or something, but I don't know. Anyhow, Orville Nation, how's it going? Yeah, great to see you, man.
Hey,
it's
PJ.
been a while.
PJ.
So I guess before we jump in, what do you guys? What are your sentiments in general about Star Trek and about this second pilot? Just in a few sentences. We don't have to dwell on it, but Ro, what do you think about it?
I love Star Trek. Star Trek. I run a Star Wars podcast, but I always call Star Trek the other white meat. I love the original series. I love Kirk, Spock, and Bones. And TOS, as the kids call it these days, is kind of my comfort food. It's one of the series that I watch late at night when I just kind of want to zone out, relax, and unwind. And I know it's only 3 seasons, but I watch them over and over and over again.
That's fair enough. Script, how do you feel about it?
I've been watching Star Trek since I was 2 years old on an affiliate network in Canada called CKVR. And when I turned 3, Next Generation premiered, and I felt very spoiled and happy. It's because I was watching, I had 2 hours most every week of nothing but Star Trek. And then, of course, an hour almost every day of Star Trek, because they would replay all the episodes in syndication. But on those days, I think it was towards the end of the week in Canada, around 6 o'clock, yeah, there'd be a new Next Gen episode, and I'd be just this little toddler, not even a full year out of diapers, watching and enjoying Star Trek. And then, of course, when you get older, realizing far more of the cool nuances of it and how it works. And yeah, loved it ever since.
I'm going to start with Sean and then go to Jill. Sean, what's your history with the Star Trek?
My dad and I got in frequent arguments over which was better, either Star Wars or Star Trek. And he has a complicated relationship with it in recent years, but I always see it as a comfort, kind of like Ro. when I was in Japan, we couldn't. I was with a friend. We were watching TV. Couldn't understand anything, but we put on Star Trek and watched that, and it was a nice little thing from home that made me feel good, even though I couldn't understand what they were saying. So, yeah, it's a comfort, just like Row in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Jill, what's your history with Star Trek?
Oh, my history. Well, Star Trek is so meaningful to me. It's played a big role in guiding and inspiring my, my morality in early adulthood. Because I discovered it pretty late in life, my late teen years, and so I found it on CBS.com. CBS.com, for some reason back then, around 2005, had all of these shows just right on their website. And they had all of the original series for free, and I was able to watch it there, and from that point I discovered I continued from there and watched everything up to Enterprise. And it's just something that always resonates in some way or another. And even if it's just a fun episode, that there's just so many varieties of different things that you can take away from Star Trek. And especially this one, you picked a good one. I don't know if you're going in production order. I hope you're going in production order.
Well, it's not that we're gonna do Star Trek every time. We may do a
Okay.
few episodes, but I think that what we've been doing now is we want to try to revisit different shows. We did Quantum Leap, and you know that because you were a guest on that one. But once we kind of watched all of that and really evaluated that show thoroughly, we decided to kind of switch things up a bit, where we try a show sometimes for a week or two, and then we go to another show. All of them are older shows. So we did
And we're
recently
doing
Knight Rider.
pilots,
Pilot.
right?
You know, we want pilots, but I always tell, initially, Ro, when you brought it up, I think the pilot was the main thing that led us here. But I
Mhm.
also want to keep the door open if, let's say, there's
Sure.
just an episode we like of a show. So pilots are
That's-
of great interest to
yeah.
us.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's a relief because I can't be here every Thursday. So let's.
We understand.
Wonderful. But if you got Star Trek, let me know.
Yeah, there'll be more Star Trek, but it won't be every time. So hopefully it won't be the only time we'll see you, but I won't bother you every week and put you in a strange dilemma.
Oh, the bother is a treasure.
Well, I appreciate that. As for we talk
Yeah.
about like
Yeah.
history and stuff like that. For me, Star Trek is kind of special because it's one of the first shows that, you know how you're a child and you don't have many memories? Like when you're really young, you don't remember everything.
Right.
Yes.
Sean did. Sean remembers everything.
Me
Or
and Ray
you have
Bradbury.
sometimes you have a memory of a memory, or it gets nested that way.
I think I know what you mean, but what I have is that I know that there was a point in time where I think could have been like 3 or 4 years old, and we had this small room with this kind of black and white, very small black and white TV. I mean, back in the day, it was more common that not all the TVs may be color. I don't know what. I don't know. We had a small room, and it was like this very small, not the best TV. It was black and white. And I have a memory of going to this room and turning on the TV, and Spock was there, Kirk was there, the Enterprise. As a 3-4 year old kid, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know that I understood what I was watching, but it was interesting enough for me, and it's like an early memory that I have. And I think that then, as I got older, not even if I was like 5, 6, 7, if there was ever this show in the background, I think that in the earlier years, I can't tell you how well I understood it, but as I was growing up and at different points watched more and more of it, and then there were the reruns of what's now called the original series. I saw all of that growing up, and yeah, I mean, I ended up just really connecting with it. The Next Generation, initially, I was kind of wary about. It took me. I'd watch it sometimes, but I wasn't that excited. When I got a little older, I reevaluated the Next Generation. Really loved it. Watched all of Deep Space Nine, watched all of Enterprise. The only show that I consider like classic Trek that I haven't watched the whole thing is Voyager. Voyager, I think I watched the first season or something, And man, was that season difficult to get through. I know everybody loves Voyager. What am I gonna do?
Nobody loves Voyager. I'm kidding.
Well, it has its good moments, and it does also have its very cheesy episodes because it can be like the sitcom kind of version of real Star Trek. So, and everybody says Lost in Space. That's not too far off.
There's a lot of, if we ever do a Voyager pilot, there's a lot of information I can give you because I worked with a few people that worked on that show as writers.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. No, but there's a lot of really great Voyager episodes. It's worth watching at least one time. Or
I
six.
believe it. But listen, Nick always tells me I'm gonna make a list and show you exactly the stuff that you could watch, and then that's like the good episodes. And maybe I'll take him up on his offer. It's just that sometimes when I do these kind of like big watches, like I have to watch the whole series, I don't want to watch it like piecemeal. I want to take a few weeks and watch all the episodes. And somehow Voyager, man, it's not easy, but we'll see. I still one day plan to do it.
Every Star Trek series takes me a long time to get through. Like I was watching Next Generation with my wife. I swear it took us like a year or more to watch all of it. Maybe that's just scheduling, but
I mean, yeah, it probably is scheduling because even if you do it like say twice or 3 times a week, for 100 and gosh, how many episodes of Star Trek? 175. It's like 7 seasons, so yeah, it's pretty close.
There's a lot. Yeah. I'm still trying to work my way through Enterprise. I think I just started season 4 like 2 days ago.
See, that's the season where Enterprise became Star Trek.
Yep. Yeah, right. At the beginning it was Enterprise because they didn't want to call it Star Trek, and only then they called it Star Trek Enterprise. I also think that if the opening of Star Trek Enterprise was actually Archer narrating rather than that annoying song and just something more symphonic, the show already would have had more people taking it seriously.
Probably, but that song grows on you. It's fine. Let it go.
I mean,
that's the way it is now, but it should have been Archer's theme. They did have the song right there.
They used it for the end credits, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. I understand that they thought that they were doing something good, but I'm not convinced that they were doing something good.
Oh, no. Brand Braga wanted to bridge the Enterprise closer to the current generation so that to kind of like better inspire, like, yeah, we'd get over this horrible hump thing that occurred because, again, this Enterprise was launched very close to when 9/11 occurred. There's a lot of controversy and doubt about what's going to happen to us in the future. Brightly placed, and they wanted to try and see if they could get it hit a little bit closer to home. But as a result, they ended up losing the special allegorical aspect of what made Star Trek so appealing.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, in any case, now we're looking at the original, the OG, and let's see how that one looks to us. Let me find the file and see if I can share it. And
not labeled Star Trek.
What'd you say?
The file not labeled Star Trek.
Okay, hold on. And Sean was asking me if we watched the remastered or the original. I don't really even know where to find the original.
On the DVDs, you savage.
Yeah, I can't even remember what the originals look like because I've been watching the remastered versions all this time.
You could switch between the original and the remasters if you have the Blu-rays.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wait, before we start, there's 2 super chats. So first of all, we have, I'm trying to highlight it. Okay. We have one, Backyard TARDIS, which is Nick, of course. Bummed to be missing this one. Hope everyone lives long and podcast. Thank you very much. He also has a second one, so I'll just say, LOL, Voyager is my favorite, but first 3 seasons are rough. I actually watched it on a black and white TV when it first aired. Nick understands me. I had one of those little black and white TVs. Then we have Matthew McGee and his wife Chrissy. The original series is special to me. Dad and I would rent videos of episodes every Friday, spend hours talking about them. Would not trade those memories for the world. That's great memories to have. Yeah, and it's also a testament of the type of show that Star Trek used to be. I don't want to depress everybody with what Star Trek looks like now. It's just strange timing that, you know, we have this Starfleet Academy that couldn't be further from what I consider real Star Trek. It's just a joke at this point. I then see stories like this, like Matthew's story, and that's what the franchises, I think, used to be. It was something that whether people liked it or not, I think that everybody understood that this was like quality science fiction, that the ideas here were rather sophisticated and caused people to think. And we get nothing these days from that franchise because the people in charge of it are just not the right people, in my opinion, that should be in charge of it.
Well, it's officially not the same franchise as the one that ended in 2005. That's confirmed.
Right. Definitely. And even if it were any good, you can't watch it with your children because they're cursing every 5 seconds.
It's
Yeah,
so
well,
annoying.
Trying to be edgy.
Nobody talk like. I just want to say this quickly, and then we can jump here and see how this one works well. Here, and we're going to see it as we start this episode. You automatically see Kirk is the captain. You understand that the other people understand that he's the captain. There's no way to misunderstand that. In fact, let's start. First
Don't
of all,
forget to mute.
so this is the remastered. Sorry, Sean. This is the remastered. They're playing some.
They're playing 4-dimensional chess.
4D chess, yes.
Don't forget to mute.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
that's
not
true.
muting.
Okay. So then, like an old school type of recorder shows up.
200-year-old recorder from the U.S. from the Valiant, which
Valiant,
was
yes, from
an
200 years
exploration
ago.
that left sometime in the early 21st century.
And then we have Space,
opening.
the Final Frontier. You know what? I still love this opening. It's a great opening. I know it's remastered, and Sean probably hates that, but
I just hate the Sorry, nothing.
But
Go
no,
ahead.
tell us. No, I want to hear. What do you hate?
I blame George. George championed remastering stuff, and then made it so hard to find the originals. I was watching the motion picture one day on DVD. It was from it was like a special DVD or whatever.
The
director's cut, yeah. And I did not realize that it had been so remastered. And I was like, wow, these effects are really crazy for the 70s. And then I found out it wasn't the actual effects. And I was so mad, man. I had to go track down. It doesn't matter. It's not how it's
well,
changing
it's what Robert
history.
Royce wanted, because they're all those effects are based off of these set like pages and pages of notes he made that he wanted to get done in post. But then, of course, the movie was rushed to completion and then put out a year before he wanted it to.
That's
and
cool.
Then you get the director's cut, which again, same sort of situation happened. He got as close to the cut that he wanted, but they still didn't complete the effects he did. And it was only recently where they actually did the effects the way that he wanted them, at least so we can extrapolate from his notes after he had passed away. And I would say it's 99% there because some of the colors are a little wrong.
Well, the director's edition is more than just the editing of the special effects too. It's also a remastering of the story itself, and it accentuates Spock's story in a much better way, and it makes some scenes a little less drawn out. And
we find a parallel between V'ger and Spock. On top of that, you actually get for the first time to see what V'ger's like without the cloud, because in many versions prior to that, you never get a full proper shot of the ship.
Fantastic, George Lucas. I want to see the movie that changed the world to begin with. I don't. If you want to do another version of it that put in all the stuff that you didn't get to put in, that's awesome. I would love to have 2 versions of my favorite movie. Do not try to substitute history because you felt cheated the first time around. And that's it. I'm off my soapbox.
That's the difference here is with Star Trek, you can always find the original. It's out there with the physical media.
We're losing Tex. We're losing Tex. We're losing Tex.
Sorry, Tex. In any case, but we should move along. The episode starts.
So you know how they did this effect? It's a very simple thing. They get on the turbo lift. They're in the turbo lift. We see Mitchell jump in from one deck, and then the doors open and they're on the bridge. Do you know how they did that?
Swiveling room, like
nope.
a dark room entrance.
Far simpler than that. They had an L-shaped wall, a gray L-shaped wall that they put up in front of the doors, and then as soon as the doors closed, they just moved it. So that
you know what? Back in the day, cool ideas, and they totally worked. I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
And then they're here, and Spock is listening to that recorder. I think that his eyebrows here are a little more pointy.
Yes.
Higher. Yeah.
His eyebrows are more
A lot of
pointy.
things. A lot of things are different about Spock here. They're still trying to develop his character. They're trying to say he doesn't have emotions, but of course, as we come to find out, he does. He just controls them. But they're still trying to build his character, which you get to see when you watch Star Trek in production order.
His
Yeah.
ears look a bit different. His eyes look different. Of course, what they're wearing, their attire, isn't what we see later.
Yes,
The
he's wearing
colors
gold
and
for
everything.
command and
Uh,
beige for operations, blue for science. They also
yeah.
give Spock yellow undertone makeup on his skin before they went with the green for his copper, because he has copper iron blood hybrid. But the other part too, and Jill's correct, is nobody working on that show really knew what Spock was until Gene L. Kuhn kind of really figured it out, along with another director whose name's escaping me at the moment. And then also this pilot was rewritten by Gene Roddenberry, and you can tell because there's the same type of remark that's also used in the Next Generation pilot Encounter at Farpoint, where Spock is perplexed by a human emotion. He's like, oh, and he says, oh, one of your human emotions. And then Data does something very similar. It's like, oh, one of your human things. It's like, that's a Gene Roddenberry line, because only Gene Roddenberry writes that poorly.
And I would say that was like probably the one time he delivered a bad line for Spock, because he kind of shows emotion as he's saying it.
Right. He's got kind of have the like
Disdain.
a half smirk too. It's fascinating to see the change between this show, this episode, and then what Star Trek later became. Obviously, the characters, you see Sulu here, and I saw there on YouTube there's a couple of accounts that show some scenes from this that ended up on the cutting room floor. There's just some random shots of Scotty and the Doctor and Sulu walking down the hallway, heading to the turbo lift to get to this point. But it's like I said, it's just interesting to see the evolution of not only the writing of the development of the characters, but just the costumes. There's some camera angles that have never been tried after this episode, or at least seldomly. Like there's this shot where they're looking straight down almost on the turbo lift when the
cinematographer was the guy that was the cinematographer for Gone with the Wind, right?
Yep, he was their third choice, I think. And Gene Roddenberry completely forgot that he shot Gone with the Wind.
I don't think he did a terrible job. I mean, considering that this show doesn't exist at this moment,
right,
and the year that he did it in, I don't think that this was terrible.
No, this is actually really well done, because so that 2-shot here between Kirk and Spock, you'll notice that they're all on camera right. And that's actually what you kind of want to do. You want to make sure that there's no one dead center, or that they're not too parallel on either ones. You want to have a flow of the eye to one direction. So you have, we know on camera left the wall is going to be here. So we don't want to be staring at the wall. So we want to be coming at the angle of the wall. We want to be looking at the two characters as they're discussing whatever contents there are in the shot. You don't really see camera work like that anymore.
No, this is what I liked when I saw it, that like when we talk about this newer Trek, and I don't want to dwell on it, this is what I like about the older Trek. It's obvious you've never watched this show before, but you understand that that's the captain, and everybody else, they understand that he's the captain too. I know that sounds like you're saying, well, that sounds like you're saying the sky is blue, but if you watch any of those modern shows, nobody understands anything. Like, they don't understand who has the authority. The person that has the authority doesn't act like they have the authority. It's so important to establish the atmosphere here, because it's science fiction. And if we don't believe that this is a ship of people, that guy's the captain, and they all believe that, then we don't believe anything, in my opinion.
Well, it's the chain of command, and it's
right.
The
it's a chain of command.
And we have a number of contemporaries that are being slowly phased out of the entertainment industry that don't understand that concept.
Jill?
Oh, we're comparing this to new Trek.
Right, I'm just saying that
it's just really.
I was just saying that the scene starts off by showing the chain of command, explaining to us who the number one person is here, who's in charge, and they're all kind of following his orders, which is important, because if you don't believe it, then you can't believe what you're seeing even.
Yes, Kirk's making the big decisions. He's deciding what to do with the black box to read it and getting Spock to do the stuff. And yeah, it's very good. And it's not, and well, what I hate about New Trek is that the camera's always bouncing around. Like I'm not going to be able to pay attention if they're not zooming around everywhere in circles.
The ADHD camera thing, like they think they're on TikTok, so they keep have to move the camera all the time. It annoys me as well. I mean, I understand that today we have, and maybe Ro could weigh in on this. Today we have like more of these kind of steady cams or whatever. You just image stabilizer where you could just run around and you don't.
Well,
you don't need.
they want to show the set off. They spend a lot of money on the bridge of the whatever ship, and they want to be able to do these sweeping shots every 3 seconds and these high angles and these zoom ins and stuff like that.
It's a highly detailed set.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at me, look at me.
But if they're not focusing on the story and the characters and building kind of the mood, a lot of the times that kind of camera movement is just distracting and annoying. I have yet to see a situation where they go for that style and it actually contributes to the storytelling or anything like that. Sure, it's a gimmick, they're moving the camera around, but here they didn't do a lot of these kind of sweeping movements. Maybe they couldn't, but you know what? I prefer this. I feel like within a few minutes of this episode, I feel a lot more interesting things happening than anything we see in kind of modern day stuff.
Well, the golden rule of filming is shoot what the actors are doing. And if you're not shooting what the actors are doing, you're not conveying how you're telling the story. Like you don't do it. There's no reason to do a sweeping shot of something unless you're trying to show your audience something of very important value. And that has to be something that involves what the characters are doing, because people watch television, they watch stories, they do that for the characters, not for the sets or something of that nature. I mean, yes, you can make a funny joke about Star Trek: The Motion Picture where there's 5 minutes just looking at the brand new Enterprise going around there, but because again, that was at the time when special effects could finally do things that they couldn't do 6 years earlier. They're trying to show off like this is the technology, but what happens with the rest of that movie? Well, you don't really get those types of long-winded sort of beauty shots, even though I think that's one of my favorite shots anyways, of various ships for like gear porn, as they call it. They care more about what are the actors doing, where are they going, what's their mark, where are their lines being said. Show them that. Don't anytime you're kind of showing off with cinematography, you're basically saying that what we're shooting is not interesting enough, so I'm going to move the camera this way to try and make it look interesting. And every audience member pretty much, over the age of 10 can see exactly through what that is, and then they check out.
This static shot of like Kirk just looking is already like more serious than any of the weird things we see, and even just cutting from crew member to crew member. I like this. I'm not saying, I understand that there's technology today where you can have like maybe shots that are a little more elaborate and you don't need it so static, but the static, at least, it may be old school and it may be simple, but I think it gets the job done, at least in my opinion. This lady, she's like a yeoman, the one,
Captain's yeoman. Yeah.
But like nobody takes her seriously, right?
Well, she's not an officer. She's the captain's yeoman.
Well, she's doing her job.
Yeah.
Holding hands with the helmsman. That's what she's supposed to do, right?
It's funny. I was going to mention that shot because, that relationship between the helmsman and the yeoman is not really solidified, but there's certain little details and little subtle things that are presented this way that gives you, like, I guess, an extra depth to their character, which is kind of cool.
You're saying that the helmsman was a man of culture?
Yes,
of
course.
I mean, actually, even the what's her name? I would know who she is. I worked with her. Sally Kellerman. She makes a remark about how his Mitchell's reputation for being a player preceded him,
and he calls her a cold fridge or something like that.
Walking
freezing unit. Yeah.
So there's this
so much misogyny in the 60s.
Yes, but at the same time, she's a psychiatrist and head of life sciences, so you got a good balance there.
Did they already talk about the ESP thing when the scientist was there?
Well, yeah, when Spock is relaying the recording tapes, he's talking about how they're researching ESP, and then oddly enough, the doctor there, she thinks that when Kirk's asking her about ESP, it's asking about herself. So we see that she's got an ego, and then she, answers the question the way that he was intending.
Right. She says her ESP is high, and that wasn't his question.
Yeah.
Right. No,
It's
but,
like,
but
what do
you
you
know
know
what?
about it? Well, my ESP is high. That's not what I asked.
It's clever writing, though, because at the end of the day, what happens a few moments later, and in this episode, the fact that her ESP is high is actually relevant. So it was kind of a clever planting and payoff that it's good information for us to know, but it's presented in a way that's actually doesn't feel as much of an exposition dump or whatever you want to call it. Right? Because we needed to know that she has a high level of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing,
Yes, because it is paid off later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
Spock's line
sure.
is the setup. There's something happened to this ship. It's been destroyed. We don't know how. We don't know why. The ship's recorder says that there was an accident. 6 people or 7 people died, but there's an 8th that was injured that survived. The fragments say that they're trying to look into the history of extrasensory perception. So there's your dangling carrot of things, and then they don't know what else is going on. And so Kirk's like, well, okay, well, what could they be looking for with regards to ESP? What do we know? Doctor, can you tell me anything about ESP? And then she answers about herself.
Which, again, her answering about herself is important because I
Yeah.
think that she is the one that's affected by this thing that's happening now because her ESP is high. But I wouldn't know that had she not said it at the beginning.
Right. But that's a byproduct because when she's introduced, we find out that even though she's a doctor, she's relatively arrogant. She insults Gary Mitchell. She then thinks about herself as a priority over the job that she has in question. This is part of her character flaw. But this is also a little bit about how Kirk has allowed her to be humbled because Gary, every time Kirk tries to humble Gary, Gary kind of has a snap back of sorts because he has a closer friendship with Kirk. And even though there's a respective authority there, Gary views the friendship as above rank, and that's why Gary ends up becoming the antagonist of this episode, and why the doctor, she ends up becoming on the side of the protagonist.
So at this point, because of this thing that happens, that now the ship is affected, and I guess what's his name, the helmsman guy,
Gary Mitchell.
Gary Mitchell.
Gary Mitchell, yeah,
Played by Gary Lockwood.
Yeah, that's exactly. Oh wait, oh no, it stopped. Okay, so he gets kind of zapped, and she seems to be affected for a second too, but in a lesser way. And then I really like how they did his eyes. I read that they had a very special kind of contact lens for him to do that, and it was kind of uncomfortable to wear. These days, it seems obvious that you could do that either with lenses or with with CGI. But back then, they really had to come up with creative solutions. And you know what? It looks pretty spooky.
Sure.
It looks like they jammed tinfoil in his eyeballs.
They did.
They did. That's what they put inside the lens, and it's great.
2 lenses. So you had one lens that would go to the eye, then tinfoil over top of that with a pinhole in it to see, and then another lens on top to protect it from the inner eyelid.
Yeah, and my jokes are not going to land if you actually prove me right.
No, that's the point. It's like it was really painful for everybody.
But that's exactly what happened. It was tinfoil. Yeah, I read about it too.
What's funny is that even in the 60s at the time, although it would have taken weeks to do, you could have animated silver manually by painting over every frame in order to do that, and it would have been a lot less painful for the actors.
I'm going to tell you something that, yeah, you could do all that stuff. Sometimes a practical effect really goes a long way. I think that until today, and I watched this episode as a kid and I'm watching it now, I think that this tinfoil in the eyes, very effective. I love the effect. I love that it's practical, and I think it looks great. So at this point, he's in his hospital room.
Yeah.
And
they enhanced this episode, but they couldn't get the words to go off the screen when he turns it off.
What can they do?
Oh, on the monitor? Yeah.
Yeah.
He clicks a button and it's still on.
Well, it's because it's a projector. It's a light projector.
Right. Yeah.
I know, but still, I hate the remaster. Go ahead.
So Kirk visits him. And this is kind of a creepy scene because he's a little bit like kind of he knows stuff that happened between them back in the day. Does he now explain that Kirk was a lieutenant at the Starfleet Academy, or there's something that he talks about, and some lady that was hitting on him that he thought he was going to marry her or something like that?
Yeah, he helped Kirk develop or meet this one lady or set it all up. I like the relationship that they kind of go back and give you a little background on how they met, because obviously later on when Kirk has to do what he has to do, it makes it even more of a tragic story there.
He was
And
a
He was
student.
essentially, he was essentially
His
a
wingman.
teacher's aide or some kind of teacher while he was at the academy. And in order to get better grades, Gary Mitchell distracted Kirk with a lady.
And I was under the impression that the girl that Kirk's like, I almost married her. It was like, is that Carol Marcus from Wrath of Khan?
It's fan theory to be, but there's been nothing been confirmed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, sorry, what were you going to say, Jill?
Oh no, I like that idea though.
It's a good idea. But yeah, Kirk, when he was a cadet, like, because cadets have their own ranks, so you have like cadet ensign, cadet lieutenant, etc. So yeah, he was a cadet teacher's assistant, known as the walking library, which is giving us more information that Kirk is very, very intelligent, which is why he's a captain at such a young age. In fact, at this point in Star Trek history, he was the youngest officer to ever be granted a ship as a captain at the age of 35. So no one had ever been a captain younger than him in Starfleet up until this point. So he's very good at his job. And the one time he wasn't able to be as stern and in his supervisory role was because Gary Mitchell found a beautiful blonde scientist for Kirk to kind of fall in love with.
I think that it's interesting. This is the part that Sean probably hates, because this looks like they redid this with modern day graphics. But
No, that's
No,
normal.
that's the original.
that's the original. So
Yeah.
what did they actually do here that was different?
So they did the same thing that they did back in the day. Whenever you'd have a character, an actor watch something on television, you'd superimpose the shot. But the thing is, they didn't do it properly when they was angling it off of the bridge, right? Because you can see doesn't line up.
Right. Yeah.
So they could have fixed it theoretically, but they didn't.
Yeah, they decided not to. The only time they ever altered some of the stuff that was on screen from the original was in one of the episodes where their ship's computers are being analyzed and are going through Earth's history, and so they updated with some more modern imagery after the 1960s, but not a whole lot of stuff, just some small things.
Anyhow, this is the part where they're basically now monitoring the guy who's acting kind of weird. I did love the part that, like, when Kirk leaves and he suddenly has this kind of like spooky echo voice, and Kirk kind of turns around and knows that there's something wrong. Like, he raises his voice and it becomes this kind of spooky echo. And along with those eyes, I mean, you spend today like hundreds of millions of dollars on effects. This is so old school, but it all works. The spooky voice in the eyes, it works. And this is the part where, like, Spock is basically monitoring what this guy is looking at, and he knows that he's reading it at a really big speed. Like, he's very fast, and he's getting faster by the minute. And I think at this point, Spock's like, is this the same guy that you've been friends with for years, that you guys go way back? And Kirk realizes there's something wrong, and he's like, okay, we need everybody, like, we need people on sick bay, we need security. I don't know what he said there. But
one of the things that's cool is Mitchell stares directly into the camera as if he's watching the guys watch him.
Yeah,
which to me I find hilarious. Whenever they need to do that story wise, they'll just have the actors look at the camera and you can, and it's funny because it's like, well, where is there a camera device in that room?
My only question was
shot.
My only question was, how does Spock know that he's retaining any of this information? Maybe he's just bored and flipping pages.
True.
I think that if he didn't have these eyes that looked so spooky, I think that Spock would have let it slide. Once he looks like this, you kind of have a feeling there's something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's racist, man.
Oh, sorry, man. And this is the part where, like, they have the things. Is this like supposed to be Bones, but not the real Bones or something?
It's another doctor. It's a different character.
Another doctor. Gene wanted DeForest Kelley in this role for this pilot, but he was voted against. But he made the deal that if the show gets picked up to series, he gets D. Kelly. And so that's why D. Kelly appears after this episode.
I think that was a good call. I think that I can understand why this guy doesn't. I mean, maybe I'm being mean, but I don't think this guy brings anything special to the table.
I don't know that this guy would have lasted however many seasons they thought they might be on.
No, but he's serviceable for the episode. Dr.
Serviceable.
Piper, we'll see you never again.
Serviceable enough. He says his few lines. It's not like terrible. Now this is the part where he's like showing her that he can, you know,
Control
basically
his vitals. Yeah.
lower his
control
vitals.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You died for 22 seconds," and he's like, "Ha ha."
Did I now?
Uh,
He's testing himself out.
but now she's kind of into him.
Yeah.
Initially, she didn't like him, but
Yeah.
once she saw those glowing eyes,
I think it's
And the power.
yeah,
this
the
looks like
power.
a naughty
that-
shot. Although I know it's not, but this looks like a naughty shot.
That's her arm.
Oh,
Well, it kind of is because he's definitely hitting on her here.
Sure. Yeah.
right. I'm just saying that if I didn't know any better, like, you know, if I was more cynical and an evil person, I could interpret this scene a little differently.
You'd
Sorry,
be like,
Joe.
she has an armpit arm or an armpit hand.
Sorry, Jill, and sorry, Sean. I'm apologizing to both of you. In any case, so I apologize. I didn't mean to be. Who cares? Let's see.
Okay, you're okay.
Move on, Price. Move
Move
on.
on. Okay. So this other guy comes in, and at this point, remind me, what does he do there that he starts like worrying them?
Oh, didn't he find? He's part of the engineering crew. Didn't he find a fault somewhere?
Right. He's like, you have to fix it. Take it
Yeah.
seriously. What I'm telling you. Whatever. Like he starts getting all upset at the guy.
Yeah.
Am I the
And
only
then-
one that can picture this guy on like a beach party movie or something?
Kelso?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of cool too that some of these secondary or background actors also survived the pilot. Like this engineer guy, he was in later episodes too, wasn't he?
James Doohan? Yeah. He,
No, not Scotty. The guy that was the guy that went into sick bay.
no, he gets killed in this episode.
Did he?
Oh, that's
But
true. That's
Doesn't he
terrific.
appear as another
Spoiler.
background character later?
Probably, but not the same officer. Yeah,
Right.
They did
I-
that a few times. They had a couple of background characters that played the same. In fact, there's a security officer in one episode that ends up being the captain of the Lexington in the M5 episode, which is escaping me right now.
The ultimate computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's the one. Yeah.
I have to feel a little bit bad for the guy on the right because probably later he'd be looking at this and be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
man, I could have been,
I could have been
set.
part of Legend.
Yeah.
The actor for Kelso, Lieutenant Kelso, does not come back to Star Trek. This is it.
Okay.
Maybe he
So-
retired.
I think that at this point they're like, why don't we drop him off at that planet or whatever, Delta something? I don't know what they said.
Delta
Like, well, why
Vega?
don't we just drop him there? And Kirk's like, we can't just leave him there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
This is
when
the
they
part where
realize
they're
that his
arguing about
intelligence
this,
is
right?
growing exponentially, they're like, "Yeah, we got to get rid of him, or he's going to destroy their ship like the Valiant was destroyed."
And Spock says it's either we strand him or we kill him while we still can.
Yeah.
I
Damn,
really
he's-
like
he's
this.
tough.
I like the fact that there was this dilemma. I like the fact that you see that he's the captain, but at the same time, now you see that the people around him have their opinions and he's listening. He may be the captain, but they're also, some of them are firm, explaining their point of view here. They're not just pushover doing what he says, but there is a hierarchy and they all understand that he's going to make the decision. I thought that this was a good balance. I also think that if you think about it, there isn't even a million things that happened until now. There weren't a million special effects. You didn't see a bunch of set pieces or action. You just saw a very simple situation of people aboard a ship in the future, need to make some decisions. I think that until now, this is, in my opinion, a really good pilot.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
one of
it's
the more
weird.
easier to digest ones compared to the other two episodes that were pitched for this pilot, for the second pilot.
Yeah.
We build the threat here that Gary Mitchell isn't just the way he is now. He's going to get worse,
Mhm.
and it's going to happen exponentially, thanks to Sulu's math.
I don't know why Spock's attire always throws me off. Like when I see him dressed like this, it just seems like he wouldn't
Sure.
be dressed like this. But
Yeah.
does it ever happen in any other episode aside from this?
No, because this pilot was shot. Okay, so the original pilot I think was shot in like late 64. This one was shot in 65, and it wasn't until a year later where they started shooting the actual episodes to
What
be
color shirt
broadcast.
is he wearing in the cage?
In the cage, he's got the blue shirt.
Oh, that's so strange. I don't know why they gave him this one here, but
Oh no, wait, no, they all have gold shirts in the cage, I think.
this annoys Sean
Why?
because it's remastered, right?
But it doesn't look. It's not like super remastered. I mean, it still kind of fits within the term of the times there.
I guess Sean is so upset that he's
He left,
disappeared.
yeah. Oh yeah, he'll be back.
I mean, there are people that have built a 7-foot model of the Enterprise, and with all the proper lights and stuff, you could rephotograph it and then composite it again, shot like exactly as it was.
So
She's
yeah,
a
no,
beautiful
it's
ship.
fine. I don't mind this remaster. I know some people you like it, you don't like it. I don't have an issue with it.
I can't remember the old stuff.
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
And this
he's hanging
he's
out.
now in this thing, but now we can like, I really like this.
I always thought it was hilarious that that sickbay just had a water faucet in the middle of the wall like that.
It is strange.
It is.
Jill?
That's a case of we needed Gary Mitchell to do some telekinesis, and let's
Wanted
just
to show
plant
his
this here.
power.
It still looks good. You know what? It's simple. Okay, so we're nitpicky now and we're thinking about it. But when you're just watching this happen quickly as a kid, it doesn't really matter. They just wanted to show that he could do something on his own. And I think that with the budget they have and the, whatever capabilities they had at the time, I think that they get their point across.
It still looks pretty good.
Well, I mean, they didn't do that with stop motion. They did that with a magnet underneath the table, the guy just moving it around to a mark. And then the water cup was not filled with any water. It was just on a string that went over to his hand. But the thing is, like, this pilot was about 300 grand. The original pilot was about 600 grand at the time. Like this was a very, very expensive show, even at its time. That's one of the reasons why it was always under threat of cancellation, because it was really expensive to do. But by today's standards, we're like, oh yeah, it's like, it looks a little cheesy, but it's not. It's very, very impressive. And what always makes me kind of laugh is that when DeForest Kelley was touring the set of The Next Generation, he would make jokes about how his Star Trek didn't have as much money as Next Generation, but the only reason Next Gen had a higher budget is because mostly of inflation, but scale wise, it was almost the same dollar spend. They just had more artists that could do more with the dollar. They could have more interesting displays that are done. I mean, even in this pilot here, they demonstrate a touch screen of sorts with Gary Mitchell at the start. When he's given an order, he just waves his hand over a little flat plexiglass panel, and that's him doing something on the computer. There's no buttons or switches for him to press. He's just kind of gliding his hand over it. And 21 years later, they just upped that up with Next Generation, with everything as a touchscreen panel with lights underneath.
You know what's cool is that Steve Jobs actually liked Star Trek and used to watch Star Trek.
Yeah, a lot of tech guys did. Actually, Wozniak liked it even more because he wanted to call Apple Enterprise computers.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So this is the part where they bring him to, I guess, their station there on Delta Bay or whatever it's called.
An automated mining station on Delta Vega.
So they need some components too. So they're going to strip the facilities and then strand this guy.
Yeah. And then, they're here and this is a room that he seemingly can't get out of because of like some electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow
he's testing his powers. He's testing himself out.
Yeah.
But
Also,
that shock, they learned that the shock kind of distracted him a little bit and brought him back for a while.
Right. So, and this is another planting and payoff where you see this happening and later this comes in handy. It's so strange, and maybe Script can say something about it. I, again, don't want to dwell on new, but I'm saying new shows in general, not even just Star Trek. So many of them don't understand the very basic idea of planting and payoff. Just something happens and then something else happens. Then some other random thing happens. And it always baffles me that they can't think properly, that they would introduce an idea at one point and later that idea would become relevant. Like, why can't they do that anymore?
Well, they do. It's just poorly done. That's
super poorly done.
yeah.
Or they, it's too much spoon feeding the audience. They think that we're idiots.
Right, right. It's just like, and again, I feel bad that I'm even mentioning it. Tex is going to get very upset. There was a scene in in
Are you gonna say Quantum Leap, the new one?
No. Starfleet Academy. Starfleet Academy. There was a scene, okay? There's a guy, the character is considering leaving, running away and escaping. And, basically he's on the fence about escaping. So he starts walking, and then you see him climbing a fence. And then he sits on the fence and thinks if he wants to leave the academy or not.
Get it?
And then, what'd you say?
Get it?
Yeah.
No, okay, it's worse. It gets even worse.
Yes.
Suddenly, like a woman shows up, and she's supposed to be a Betazoid, which they got wrong because she should have been telepathic, not empathic. But they messed that up because they didn't Google what a Betazoid
They're
is.
all
but I won't-
descendants of Deanna Troi. They're not actual real Beta Zets.
Right. So basically, exactly 100%. They didn't do the minimum research. They don't even care. In any case, this girl sees him on the fence, and she goes, "You are on the fence about leaving this establishment."
You're literally on the fence.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
they try to play it off as it's a joke, but it's so on the nose. It doesn't work. Now, to some of their points there, if you've been on the internet, there are a lot of people that are idiots out there. Like a lot. More than you're comfortable with. There are. Dude, I just perused today and I saw a lot of people not even getting like the simplest jokes across like various different other IPs and things. It's very pathetic. But we're not that pathetic. We're just
right. I mean, I will still claim that this show is for more sophisticated people. Not every show has to be for stupid ADHD weirdos. I mean, you could still make this for intelligent people. I don't think that there's no more intelligent people in the world. Instead of sort of kind of nurturing them with good writing and a good quality show and franchise, they're like, let's make it for stupid Harry Potter people or whatever it is. Not that I have anything against
And
Harry
that's
Potter,
an
but
insult too, because Harry Potter isn't even that bad, and its setups and
That's
payoffs are
true.
way better. I wanted to say the worst setup and payoff in the second episode of Starfleet Academy was that the kids all had to take care of this goo as if it were a child, like an egg or
they
something
never
like
paid it
that
off.
thing.
Yeah.
And then, and the attempt to pay it off was that somebody, Sam, the hologram, got the goo all over Caleb, and they clean it up, and that's it. It has nothing to do with the plot. It didn't end up being
no,
the Chekhov's gun
because of
device or
that
anything.
incident. That was the inciting incidents that led him to go climb the fence, by the way. The scene before him climbing with the fence was that the goo fell on him, and he was so triggered by the goo falling on him that he went and climbed the fence.
He was
Yeah.
just humiliated, and so it's
So
bit
that's why he
of a
became on the
letdown.
fence. Yeah. So stupid. I mean, I'm just thinking about what we just talked about, that and what we're looking at. And this is from, we're talking about like 60 years earlier, and 60 years earlier is like 100 times more sophisticated. And this isn't even like the most sophisticated Star Trek episode. This is really simple stuff, yet this seems a lot more sophisticated than anything we're getting now.
This episode could be a Twilight Zone episode where
Yes,
somebody
I
gets
agree.
powers and it builds and it builds.
I like that. I kind of like it.
Got a simple goal and a problem to address. It's not abstract, because I will say this: you take the Star Trek out of Starfleet Academy, it is a military school soap opera, and it's a fine military school soap opera. The problem is that Star Trek has such high standards to it, and earned high standards to it over since it's existed up until 2005, over to that period where it's like, no, there's a certain expectation that is established with this type of franchise that you have. But again, you're dealing with a generation of executives who make these decisions, who are basically saying we want to hit the broadest audience as possible, and the way you hit the broadest audience as possible is by appealing to the lowest common denominator, and that ends up being a detriment to your impact on culture, because Star Trek did not appeal to the broadest audience possible. It appealed to science fiction fans. And what was brilliant about it is that it was digestible science fiction, which meant anyone could really understand it and then pick up on some of the allegories here. Like the beautiful allegory about this episode is what happens when a being becomes so powerful that that one individual puts the rest of the species at risk. What do? Do you get rid of them to preserve the rest of the species, or do you give up so that he could propagate a super species that replaces everything that we achieved up until this point? That is the question. And what is the answer?
Kirk has to make that huge decision.
Right.
Exactly,
He's
yeah.
the real captain.
He's
And
put
he-
into a
yeah.
position where if his decision could affect the outcome of not just his species, but the rest of the species in this galaxy, and possibly the universe, because of how powerful this being has become.
And he ultimately decides that he needs to send his crew away, and he needs to face them one-on-one. And he tells his crew, if I'm not back at a certain time, just come and gas the planet.
Exactly. So he does the thing that great captains, great leaders, great managers would do, which is if there is an order, any order that they give is one they are also willing to do themselves. And if it comes at the best of preserving their crew or their team, they will put themselves in the position in order to ensure their safety and their ability to perform as best they can, so that they don't have to risk their own careers or their own jobs for this dangerous task.
I wanted to also point out another thing that I liked about this is that, and this is very important, in addition to the actors and everybody taking what they're doing here seriously without that like Kurtzman weird behavior that they're all kind of like children. I don't know how to explain it. ADHD kids, Gen Z kids, whatever it is. In this case, like everybody is serious, and also the music, it complements the serious tone of what we're looking at. If you watch like the newer Treks, and it's not just a Starfleet one, it's all the like Kurtzman ones, there's this kind of annoying music, just the most annoying, like the kind of music you'd hear for a late night commercial for like, some fibromyalgia.
You know, like a pharmaceutical commercial?
Yeah, like a pharmaceutical commercial, or something that they're advertising, like a new app that you can buy groceries or something. That's what it sounds like anytime any of the people talk on these newer shows. There's like this kind of, it's not dramatic. It's this kind of annoying thing in the background, and these annoying beats. I just feel like here it's so traditional and classic. There's just little hints, little kind of touches to add a little bit of the drama, but it's done in a very kind of, interesting way. So much better quality when I was listening to it. Anyhow, this is the part where he manages to kill this, delete this guy, right?
Yeah, he takes care of Kelso.
Yes,
So
by
yeah,
Kelsey.
he doesn't show up again.
No, he doesn't. Also, when they first land on the planet, you feel like you're on a different world because of the beautiful matte painting by Albert Whitlock, which we saw earlier.
It's beautiful.
Which they got originally made for the previous pilot for the Cage. They just repurposed it for this one.
They didn't change it for the update.
Nope.
I like very much this scene that now she has the eyes too. I thought that was very cool. And
there's a long shot of him like in the cell, I think, and he turns around and they just light up, and
yeah,
it's really cool looking.
I like it. I like all of this. And then
you got the big threat, the Adam and Eve, the two that could create a super race.
Phony Bones finds Kirk.
Funny Bones, gotta call him Funny Bones.
And Spock.
He's different Bones, okay?
He doesn't
and
even go by Bones.
I read that the reason why the pilot at the end, what sealed the deal of them wanting the show, was because they actually liked this final portion of it where there's like a fist fight between Kirk and this guy. That's what sold it to him.
Yeah,
that's what sold the NBC executives. Yeah,
they just wanted a fist fight.
But you know what?
Brother.
What'd you say?
It's good though. It's a good one.
That's what
I
I'm
really
saying.
like is that that not only are we here to deal with Gary Mitchell, but also repower our ship and repair our panels and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot at stake.
A little cooler.
Like you said, Jill, there's a lot at stake, and at the same time, also, I also agree with you, Jill. This is a good fist fight, and it's rewarding because all this stuff is happening, and at the end, there's no choice. Like, with all the technology and all the whatever they're babbling about, Kirk has to go very old school here in his approach to this, and I like this ending personally. Jill, I didn't mean to cut you off, though. What were you saying?
No, it's okay, but this is a great fist fight just because Mitchell has really believed he's transcended to complete godlike powers. Although Kirk says you may be something else, and that might be a, I don't know. It's just really great. How he pleads with him. He tries to reason with him.
I don't
What
think
will Mitchell learn in getting there? Will he know what to do with his power? Will he acquire the wisdom? And that's what Kirk asks.
is this the only time we've seen Kirk with this weapon? Because I don't know that
That weapon never appears in another Star Trek episode ever again.
I don't hate it.
Except for the cover of TV Guide.
Well, that's not an episode. But yes, it's in promotional stills. It's just not used.
But I love how Spock just asks for it without asking Kirk. He just appears with
He's
it.
like, I
You're
didn't
gonna need
order.
this.
Yeah, I didn't order a rifle, and then he comes in and it's almost comedic. He goes, "Oh, okay."
It is such like a Buck Rogers Flash Gordon gun.
Yeah,
I
It's got
love
a weird
it.
handle
Oh,
on the base.
Star Trek has never had really cool rifles. Like you look at the rifles of the Next Generation, they look goofy as hell.
Well, even the phasers in this episode, I don't know if you guys mentioned it when I ran away to do something, but it's a totally different hand phaser that Spock has on his belt.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I don't
like
know.
an old disruptor style phaser.
I guess.
I like that he throws it over, like tosses it out of his hands. And then this is a strange thing because it's James R. Kirk and not James T. Kirk.
Yeah.
James T. Kirk came many years after the show ended. I don't think they ever mentioned the T in his
Yeah, you first hear it in the animated series. So it comes later.
animated series. Yeah.
And clearly he never told him his middle name, and he was just winging it when he made the tombstone.
That's the best way to get out of this in my head canon.
Yeah,
But I think I was reading today that they considered when they did the remastering to change the R to the T, but at the end they decided not to do it. And something
you'd
I
have
was
to
reading that said
rotoscope
they would
that.
have to
That'd be weird.
rotoscope a lot, but I don't think it was
Yeah.
just the rotoscoping. I think that they just maybe didn't want to deal with it.
No, the rotoscoping on that, because again, the remaster for TOS was an experiment to see if they could make money and do it for the other series, and they still had a deadline. And if they rotoscoped that, it would probably eat up a lot of extra time because a rotoscope is a lot different than just replacing a CG model over an existing shot. They already had to rotoscope a couple of other effects, especially for the one for iMud with Norman the robot. They rotoscoped his stomach part, but that was a little bit easier because they could just completely it was a close-up shot. They completely refabricated. But in this case here, the other part is the split between the tech crew is like, well, if we change that from James R. Kirk to James T. Kirk, we're then rewriting the series, or we're changing the authenticity of it. So let's just keep it as it is, so that we don't have that division from our audience, from our fandom, and from other new people to see, like, show them what was shown back in the time when it came to the actual intention of the content.
Except for all the special effects of the spaceship or the space.
Yeah, but the special effects are they're still achieving the same outcome. And they're not changing the core of what it is. Like, unlike with George Lucas, when he completely changes, Return of the Jedi's Lapti Neck with Jedi Rock, that's a completely different take on what that scene. Yeah.
I'm just a big fan of all the old ILM guys, and I feel like you're doing a disservice to all the hard work that they slaved over.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't like Jedi Rocks either. So at this point, does she manage to, weaken him? Is that what she's doing?
Yeah, they're back and forth doing
That's right.
Force lightning.
the Force lightning Jedi powers.
Kinda cool.
It cracks me up too, because obviously knowing production, the actors had to do their thing without any special effects, and the camera guys are just like, okay, do this and stay there for like 3 minutes. Okay, next. It's just kind of funny.
I love this. I don't know. I like this whole thing with the eye. It's so simple but so effective. And then there's only one question I have. Oh, sorry, I have to stop this.
But that's such a good one.
It is a good. When this falls, is it for certain that the guy has been eliminated? Can't he theoretically be underneath this rock?
If he was crushed before he
or
recharged his powers, he probably is dead. Yeah.
Or
I
his
see.
head was smashed in by the rock.
I see. And then what do they do? She just dies, right? She just
She dies,
flops.
and they leave her there.
Have a broken heart.
Yeah.
Right. And then no, but this is the part that they're like, let's note that they died in the line
Service
of duty.
record, right?
Missing in action. Yeah.
And then
And by the way, in Star Wars, there's no zippers, but in Star Trek, there are.
and
I
then
just want, yeah, I don't really know that they left her there. They might have sent her to her family. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But
Yeah,
and
the
then
one quote that I like from Gary Mitchell, you were mentioning arrogance earlier. He said, "Morals are for men, not gods."
this is the part where Spock's like, "I felt that," or something like that. What does he say? I felt him. I
I
felt
felt
it.
for him. I
Felt for
felt
him, yeah.
for Gary Mitchell because it wasn't his fault. He didn't ask to be turned into a god and then abuse his powers. He just got overtaken by it.
Yeah,
I hate-
and
I
I
hate
think
when
that
that
was also a nice, poignant ending that they acknowledge that these two people were in the line of duty, just doing this, and this is part of what you expect from being on a crew like this, that you could run into something like this, and that's your fate, and it's part of like being in the line of duty. It actually, in a way, it explains a lot about the atmosphere and the way the logic of the show, but it does it in a very kind of organic way. It doesn't. Nobody has to explain things to us. I think that we learned so much in this one episode. I know they didn't use it at the end as their main pilot, but I think they could have used it as a pilot. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
That's a good, simple message. If you're mortal and you suddenly become endowed with all of these powers, you're still going to be driven by your human frailty.
And it ties up in a nice bow with Spock talking about human emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Paul fixes Dr. Piper. I thought, and it's Desilu. It's always interesting that at the end, I think like Lucille Ball had to fight for this pilot to even exist.
Right. So the first pilot was rejected, and Lucille Ball liked the first pilot enough that she said, "Well, if you're not going to accept this one, let's make a second." It's the first time in history that a second hour-long pilot was ever produced to try and sell a show.
That's crazy.
It is.
And then
She loves Star Trek.
Gilligan's Island gets it later. Yeah.
Well, they're a half hour, right? So
Yeah.
But Gilligan's Islands had two pilots. I wasn't even aware of this.
Sherwin Schwartz had to do it twice.
But the one that I saw, that it's in black and white and they get to the island, doesn't have the same actors that I know today. I think it has the regular actors. I don't think they changed anybody or anything.
I can't remember.
Maybe just the theme song.
Well, the theme song was changed 3 times. Because the first one they didn't have any lyrics, and the second one has lyrics, and then it ends with "and the rest," and then there's then they do the professor, Marianne. Yeah,
Here, you know what? It's really good to add the Professor and Marianne. I feel like that part of the song is naked, that it doesn't have that phrase, and once you put it in there, it really it manages to like fix a problem in the song that nobody even knew existed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, so that was the pilot episode of Star Trek. The not the pilot that aired, but the pilot that got the show greenlit at the end.
well, that pilot did air. The other one never aired.
It's the other one that didn't air. I honestly, I like both of them. I like the Cage too. I know the network didn't like it or whatever it is, but I've always kind of liked that episode. I don't have an issue, and I will say that I even liked Captain Pike. I am happy that they brought Captain Kirk, because I think Captain Kirk is the captain. That's who needed to be the captain. But if they would have brought back Pike at a later point for like a guest appearance or something, I know that they tried to, because they brought like a phony version.
Well, they wanted to get Jeffrey Hunter, but he was unavailable. So then, as a result, they had to rewrite everything that they initially had planned for the Menagerie parts 1 and 2 to have an actor basically in a wheelchair with a blinking light.
So weird.
Life essentially convinced him, don't do this sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, I was remembering reading that his wife was kind of a hard ass.
Yes, I read that too. But you know what? It would have been nice if he made a guest appearance himself on that episode. It's fine. I understand he didn't. They used the makeup thing with the chair. It's so weird, that thing with the blinking lights.
Didn't Jeffrey Hunter, he was in a production and he played Jesus before Christopher Pike.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Thank goodness, though, because William Shatner is exactly who Leonard Nimoy needed. They work perfectly together.
So
What's
true.
brilliant is that like Shatner figured out Kirk in this pilot because he's very consistent from this pilot to the rest of the episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just figured it out. Leonard Nimoy, he needed help, and I don't blame him because there's no frame of reference for the type of character that he is playing from the draw.
And like you said, Gene L. Kuhn, Dorothy Fontana, and Leonard Nimoy himself helped in building what Vulcans are.
Yes.
And
well, what it's funny is not only what Vulcans were, what a Vulcan hybrid was, because they didn't even have a pure one to work with at first. They had to figure out like, well, what's the culture? What is Spock doing? How is Spock different, and what's the conflict there? And then when Mark Leonard came on, they had to kind of say, well, you got to be at arm's length with your emotions in this regard, but at the same time, play to have a form of disappointment in your son for joining Starfleet before it's won over. Before at the end, you're won over with it to a degree, and you have to all come at this without emotion, but at the same time playing emotion. It's like, how do you tell? How does an actor process that? You know, it's just so
well, and it takes all the way until Star Trek 4 for that to happen.
For that final resolution to happen, yeah. But there's an implication of it at the end of Babel, because
Journey to Babel, yeah.
Journey to Babel, because he has that one sense like, why did you marry my mom? It's like, it was logical at the time. Like that's their reconciliation for that point.
Great line too.
I don't know why I thought of this while you were talking now about like how much he invested in the role of Spock. I was reminded by something that I saw a few years ago at a Comic-Con where there was a lecture by Leonard Nimoy's son. Is it Adam Nimoy? I don't know.
Adam Nimoy,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so depressed and disappointed that I attended that panel. Nothing personal against the guy. He's like, you know him as Spock, but you don't know. Like, he did this. Is like saying like the worst things about him. And I'm like, I'm sure he was a flawed man and you had your issues with him, but like at a Comic-Con convention when everybody came to this lecture thinking we're going to hear the coolest stuff ever about how Leonard Nimoy, became Spock. And this is what we're all here to listen to. And he's like, man, did he used to drink a lot? I'm like, I understand that. Like, I get it. I understand your issues. You either want to tell me why Spock is awesome, or I don't want to hear whatever you have to say. Like, screw you and your panel. Sorry, Jill. Sorry, Sean.
No, I agree with you completely. That is, that's not what you're going for.
He's
Right,
just a
and what
wet
you're saying,
boy.
and as a
He should just
director, he
write a
worked on
book.
TNG. If he's a director and worked on TNG, really don't know why he needed to write this book that's like sort of presenting like, Leonard Nimoy in a negative light. I'm sure that when your father is an icon, when he's working long hours on a TV show and the kind of lifestyle that he had and whatever, I understand that maybe that could take toll not only on his father, but on his upbringing. It's not that I don't respect it, but when I'm at Comic-Con, I'm not expecting, that's not what I'm looking to listen to. Like, there was a panel called, like, I don't know if it was like Son of Spock. I don't know what he called it. I'm like, okay, I'm there. Lay it on me. Okay, what you got? And then I sat. I wish you could see my face, like, listening to this crap for like an hour and a half. This guy is like rambling on about how miserable he is. I don't know why this bothered me. Until this day, it bothers me.
Yeah. The documentary is better. For the Love of Spock is a lot more positive than whatever that was.
I think I watched that one. It was good.
Yeah. Coming to Terms.
What's it called? What's it called? The book that he had in recent years.
There's I Am Spock and I Am Not Spock.
Okay, hold on one
That's
second.
That's Leonard.
Those are Leonard Nimoy's books. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find this.
The best type of fan approach when it comes to like Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner is for Star Trek is that in the later part of the 23rd century, the holodeck is invented, and they all tried to see if they can outwit Columbo. And Kirk, being stubborn, tries it. I think three times.
Right. So I think that
That's
it's called
Kobayashi Maru.
maybe it's called The Most Human, and I think that the thing was, he was talking about like how he reconciled with his father. I don't know what it was. All I know is you can do that if you're like at the Y or something like that, or you're some kind of more of an artsy thing. You want to talk to people about your feelings. I do think that at Comic-Con, it has to be either you're there to celebrate the icon and the character, or you're not there.
Sure.
That's my opinion. And
And
Not
don't
that
call
they even
people
care what my
names.
opinion is, but if they ever asked me, that's what I would say. Oh, thank you, Mary White. I'm going to check my super chats. Hold on one second. Well, we did the first three. We did them. So there's one from the Real Head Case. Welcome, new hosts. Price is cool. All right. Well, Jill. Well, first of all, there's nobody that's technically new here because everybody has been on something here before. But I guess maybe it's somebody that wasn't familiar with Jill. Jill is awesome. She has her own channel and she does a lot of Star Trek stuff, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I've been there a number of times, which is always fun. And also, sometimes I just watch it even if I'm not there. So you should really check it out towards the end of the stream, which we're starting to get to, but towards the end, we'll make sure that everybody has the link and everything so they know where they can find you. I guess let's start with our guests. Let's start with Jill. If you had to sort of give, your overall thoughts about this pilot, what would you say about it?
I love it. No, this is an amazing second pilot, and Star Trek was given that second chance, and they hit it out of the park with this one. I like the that we're set up in this world where we know telepathy, telekinesis is something that's possible. It's something that permeates through all of Star Trek, that you can have mental powers of this sort. And even everybody always talks about Squire Gothos, but I always think of this one too when we talk about Q like powers in this sort of way. And somebody was mentioning a parallel to a TNG episode. Well, I like that one TNG episode where Q endows Riker with these powers. So suddenly Riker has this same issue as Gary Mitchell, but somehow he kind of falls for it a bit at first, but eventually he's able to control himself and not suddenly try to take over the crew and destroy everything. So that was good. And it's a good, TNG had its problems, but sometimes it got it right too. And this is a great setup. The electrical, I don't know. I like it. We don't know where these powers really came from, but we don't have to because it's played so well.
I liked, which one of you said that it was like a Twilight Zone episode? Because I
did.
love that about it. Script, did you say it? Who said it?
Jill
That
did.
was me.
Oh, sorry. You're the one that said the Twilight episode. I think that's a
It's
great.
very eerie. It's scary.
Right, and I think that's a good that's like perfect. That's a perfect description of it. I didn't realize why I liked it so much until you said that. Sorry, I attributed it to script. It's been a long
No, that's
day. I knew
okay.
one
That
of you
means
said it.
that
but-
means that you thought it was a good thing to say if you thought it came from him.
You know what? I've heard you say a lot of great things too, so it wasn't anything personal. But whether it was you or script, and I know now that it was you, it was a really great comment because that's how I felt watching it. And I like that. I like that there's something mysterious and a little bit spooky about it. It's something that takes itself seriously. It doesn't go for any kind of anything cheap. I think that it's all very well thought out, in my opinion, at least. Any other final thoughts about it, Jill, or in general, something you want to say about this or Star Trek? Anything?
No, that's pretty much my whole thought on this episode. It's really great, and thanks for letting me talk about it. Anytime you want to talk about Star Trek, let me know.
Well, theoretically, from what I remember, I think next week we're supposed to do The Cage. We're then going to do other shows, but like not Star Trek. But next week, from what I recall, we said that we would do first this one, and next week we're doing The Cage. So if you're around and you feel like joining us, it would be great. But there's no pressure. I don't want to put you in front of other people, publicly put pressure on you.
Well, but here I want to be here though. Like some people do that, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know about that.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Major Barrett. Yeah, no, this is a great Major Barrett episode. Excited.
First of
for number
all,
one.
What'd you say?
Excited for number one.
I see.
like number one.
Ron Donofero says, Jill, glad to have you here tonight. We're very glad as well. So yeah, there's no pressure, but of course, if you're able, Jill has her own streams that she has to sometimes prepare for. If you are able to get away and join us next week for The Cage, that would be awesome. But even if not, we're all very grateful that you were here with us tonight. And Sean, what did you think of this episode?
I love it. I love watching old TV shows. It's so refreshing. I can't stand new stuff.
Have you seen this in like recently, or haven't watched it in a while? And now you saw this.
I rewatched it today, but I have gone through. I went through. I think I did it all out of whack. My wife and I watched Next Generation all the way through. That took us a while to get through. And then I was watching TOS on my own, and that took a while to get through. So it's been a few years, but it's always they're always so pleasant to come across on Pluto or whatever, and just sit down and watch it for a bit. I just like the original series a lot.
I understand. Script, how did you feel about it? Did he just go fast and slow? Was that like a chipmunk?
I heard him turn into a tribble or something.
Yeah.
That is the weirdest thing. It's like a chipmunk situation. I feel like I'm on Star Trek now.
Yeah, man.
Somebody's got a tribble.
That's mine.
Is your tribble?
Yeah, I wasn't the chipmunk sound, but you said tribbles, so I have a tribble right next to me.
Is Script still here? I can't hear him.
Sounds like he's trying.
There's something really strange going on, Script. This is the most eerie thing. You're gonna have silver eyes in a second.
I was gonna say you're gonna have silver eyes. Script, why don't you go out and then come back in and see if that fixes?
That is the spookiest thing. I've never seen anything like it. He's now like that being. He just needs like an echo and silver eyes. Ro, what did you think of the?
Script is back. Script, can you hear us? Oh, that's weird.
No, what's going on with Script?
His audio sounds
His
like a
audio.
chipmunk.
It sounds like a weird chipmunk.
Yeah, like a porg swallowed a tribble.
You have no idea how this sounds, Script. You're like.
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, TOS is my comfort food. I watch it consistently. This episode is great. It's wonderful to kind of see, the early stuff, getting developed and getting tried out and stuff like that. And I enjoy it very much. After this stream, I'm gonna go launch my Paramount app and go watch Space Seed.
I see that Script has beamed out of here. And I already started watching after I watched this episode. It just kept playing like the next episode. I'm like, wow, classic Trek. It's hard not to like it. You could say today that some of the pacing of these older episodes, you could tell that it's an older show. But when it comes to ideas and the cast and everything, the
Still
work that was
holds up.
put into the ideas hold up for sure.
Well, what is it about like the old shows? Like, because I was watching MacGyver and couldn't finish it and joined you guys last week. But it's like, is it competency? You can just detect the competency in how these older shows are made. Like, I get sucked into them in like the first 2 minutes, and I actually feel good watching them.
Yeah.
Well, because people speak like adults, first of all.
Yeah, I think when audiences get spoon-fed, like I said earlier, it's there's something off-putting about that. You watch these shows not to get spoon-fed these plots and stories and stuff like that. It's especially good science fiction. You want to be able to kind of maybe think a little bit and fill in the blanks yourself, and then really enjoy how they present the story. And I think the mediocrity of how things are written nowadays doesn't instill that type of confidence in audiences.
And there's a lot of subtle character building here for Captain Kirk. You know that he was more of a nerd than you might have suspected. He loved to read philosophy.
Yeah.
They did a good balance between a little bit of an action man, a guy who's in charge, but also not a dummy. And I think also the fact that the other people respect him, what it means to be the captain. Think to yourselves, if you've never watched something like this before, and it's the 60s, where there weren't a million things like it, you need to explain to the audience what it is that they're looking at. And I think that this, even though they didn't use it as their pilot, I think that if they would have used it as their pilot, still gets the job done. Which one did they use as the pilot at the end? Remind me.
Was it Charlie X?
No, which one was
What's
the
the
one that's
question?
not the cage? Which is the first one that's not the cage?
Man
What do you
Trap.
mean?
Oh,
The
yeah,
one,
it might
Trap.
be.
Okay.
the one that aired.
Yeah, which
That's the
one?
first broadcast episode.
Right, Man,
Man
Trap.
Trap.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Man Trap is the first broadcast episode on September the 8th, 1966. But September the 6th, if you lived in Canada, they got it first.
I see. I think that in the UK also they showed this one as the first episode. But yeah, very interesting. And Script, I wanted to hear his thoughts if he's still around, but I don't know if he can do it because there's something he beamed out of here. If Script, if you can hear me and you could say something, that was so strange.
And it's still strange.
It's still strange. He beamed out. I don't really know what to do beyond that, but
It's like one of those episodes where the message is
yeah.
compressed and super fast.
And
It
he's
is.
stuck in the pattern buffer.
Stuck, yeah. Or what's that thing when you do a transport but it doesn't materialize on the other side?
That's called a horrific monstrosity that comes out the
That's
other
the thing that always worries me
You
about
didn't
all
survive
versions of
long.
Star Trek. What'd you
That
say?
was such a great scene.
Oh, sorry. He made me think. You guys are making me think of the motion picture where
Yeah.
there was a transporter accident with the new science officer.
Whatever made
and
it
they-
back didn't survive long.
Right.
Thankfully.
Yeah, no, I recall that.
I don't watch them too often anymore, the Red Letter Media guys, but the one guy had a theory that Star Trek is just a horror story in space, and I always think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think that's kind of funny too. I like the motion picture. I haven't watched it in a long time. I know that some people are like, "Oh, it's too boring or long or whatever it is." I like the motion picture. I mean, I
love it.
don't like it as much as Wrath of Khan, but I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it gets too much flack,
agree.
especially for the long shots when people are like, it goes on too long, and I'm like, they got like one chance to make this movie. I would spend as much time as possible.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to director. The hell's his name?
So yeah, I actually like I don't have any issue with the motion picture. Yes, I liked the Wrath of Khan better. I liked Search for Spock probably better, and maybe even the one with the humpback whales, which some people like that movie more than I like it.
It's my favorite movie ever. The Voyage Home.
Oh,
Sorry,
I didn't mean to rain on your
but
parade.
that's okay. No, you don't have to worry about that. Opinions are it's all subjective, so you don't have to have the same opinion as me.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the movie, but it's just like, when I compare it to something like Wrath of Khan or Search for Spock, I don't think it's as good as those two. Maybe,
those are more cinematic. This one is more like, oh, I just turned on a very, very long episode of Star Trek, and that's why I love it.
You know what? You're right. Maybe it
Yeah.
feels like more of a grounded kind of episode. It doesn't feel as cinematic. For whatever it was, I don't hate it, but I still, also traveling through time back with the looping around the earth or whatever it is, it's okay, I guess.
Was set up in the original series that from the Tomorrow's Yesterday, and so it's a great callback too.
Love that episode.
That was my favorite Star Trek movie for a long time as a kid, and then eventually I think Undiscovered Country became my favorite.
Love that movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Undiscovered Country. There's one scene where there's a picture of two killer whales, and I feel like that's a mild commentary to say, you remember that movie with the humpback whales, where this one's going to be a little darker.
I am okay with that, but whenever I tell people that one for me is like, or maybe around where like the motion picture one or whatever, like it's not at the top of my list, the Undiscovered Country, people get really annoyed at me. I don't know. I've only seen it once. Maybe I need to revisit it.
Yes,
but,
you do.
Seriously?
I've seen it only once. Yeah. I think
No.
that what happened is that there was one before the Undiscovered Country, which was, I would say, pretty bad.
That was Final Frontier, and I think that movie gets way too much flack.
I watched it a couple of nights ago, and I enjoyed it. But you're right; it's for a long time it was considered the worst Trek, and I guess all the odd number tracks are supposedly the bad ones, but I didn't mind it that much. I mean, there's some goofy stuff in there, but
Which is the one? Is that the one where Spock's brother is?
Yes.
yeah.
What does
Okay.
God
His
need
half
with a
brother,
starship?
Cybok. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't listen.
Yeah, he's like,
I'll
His
give you guys.
half brother.
I'll give you guys one thing. Compared to what is now passes as
Ugh.
Star Trek, I'm sure that if like I watch Starfleet Academy and then I put like whatever you just called, what's the fifth one?
Final Frontier.
Final Frontier. If I suddenly watch Final Frontier after I watch Starfleet Academy, that is going to seem to me like high quality. It's going to look like Citizen Kane in comparison.
Suddenly, Uhura's fan dance makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Those guys were desperate on a desert planet. They would have gone after anyone. I can forgive it.
Yeah.
Very strange, that dance. Yes. Anyhow, I guess we're wrapping up. So we have the shout outs. Thank you for Mary White, who's a moderator here, for everything that she does and for putting the list together. Shout outs part 1, Marks for 7, FKHC 2005, James Caserta, Mer Rockstra, Malachi D. Wildman, Matthew McGee and Chrissy McGee, his wife, Tex Rogers, who, sorry, Tex, I know we wasted your time a bit today, but at the end we just got back on schedule. Ron Donofero, Michelle Ferry, Kit Kat, Marla Sharondoff, Darren M., Orville Nation, Read by Nature. And then we had Matthew Marcillo, Julie Evans, Sub Commander Toll, Adabisi 007,
Commander Toll,
Tomahawk
he's great.
5. What'd you say?
Commander Toll is really great. Follow him on Twitter. He's got lots of cool Star Trek posts.
Do it. Adabisi 007, Tomahawk 511, The Real Headcase, Phantom Monk, Emperor Goodwin, Andrew Zacchaeus, Ishmael, Istophobos, Destiny Captain, and Nazi 3PO.
And I hope.
Wait, I think there was
okay.
another. Did I miss another super chat? I think I did. There's one for $1.99 from Destiny Captain 247. What are the ages of the panel tonight? Well, some of this stuff is kind of kept under wraps. I say that I am
Young at heart.
What is the age of a squid?
middle-aged man, I guess. Anybody else? I don't want to ask Jill. You don't ask a woman her age, so we'll skip that one. Sean and Roe, I think, that are somewhere in in a similar boat as me somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm 44.
I think that you, me, and Roe were somehow, not too far off from each other. We're sort of.
There's a circle. And we fall
I'm just a
somewhere.
few years younger than you, so there you are.
See, so yeah.
It's true. My age is not a secret, but you got to come to my channel to find out.
Fair enough. Fair
subscribe
enough.
and
And,
like.
Mary White shared Jill's channel, and if you're not already subscribed to her, you should definitely do that. It's a great channel, especially for if you like Star Trek. That is like a great place where, and as opposed to this stream where we go, we do like 90 minutes, 100 minutes, whatever it is. Jill a lot of times really goes into detail on a lot of things, and there's a lot to enjoy there if you're Star Trek fans. And if she is able to, I will definitely invite her to the Cage, which we're doing next week. And again, we know she has her schedule. If she's able to join, that would be great. Sean has his YouTube channel. Hopefully, Mary shared it. Script Doctor, he has his show, Scripts on Saturdays, where he and a guest go over a screenplay that is either now being considered by a big studio or at some point was considered by a big studio. Him and a guest go over these screenplays. It's very interesting, very unique. Roe, of course, has his Scarif podcast. Any place that has podcasts, where it's like Amazon, Apple, whatever it is, that has podcasts, you can find them there. In addition, he has his own YouTube channel, which you can also subscribe to. And Mary White is, sharing all the links. Jill, of course, has her channel, Anti-Derivative Jill. And also, there's a link here. You should also subscribe and check out what she does. Did I forget anything?
No, you're good. Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 a.m. Central.
Oh,
And
okay,
other
great.
times, too.
That's information that I needed to know. Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 a.m. Central. Check that out. And
Say
I
goodnight,
guess
Gracie.
what'd you say?
Say goodnight, Gracie.
I'm going to put on our outro. So this is our famous outro. Bye.
I'm such an awesome guy.